evening from the Wolfeboro Community TV station. This is the Wolfeboro Exchange. Thanks for joining me. We're going to cover the budget. We're going to cover the warrants. We're going to cover all the ballots that were last Tuesday was election day here in Wolfeboro, town elections, and Wolfeboro voters turned out. And we are in year number 2 of a default budget. So the voters shot down the general operating budget this year again, and we found ourselves again in a default budget year. So pretty interesting, 2 years in a row. So we'll go through how people voted and some of the articles that were contentious and talk about them for a moment. But let's go through the races first. So it contested races. For Budget Committee, it was Bobby Budeman with 961 votes, Justin Brown and Rob Lohman. So 961, Bobby was the top getter, and Rob Lohman was 936 at the bottom of the pile there. All three was vote for not more than 3, so all 3 got in. And that wasn't even contested, but that was the only 3-way race in the on the ballot. New selectman elected in this year for a 3-year term, John Thurston. John has been on the planning board for many, many, many years, and I think will be has big shoes to fill with Brad Harriman. Brad served the town of Wolfeboro with integrity, and he was a good friend and a loyal person to the town, and had a lot of knowledge, especially when it came to roads and drainage and all kinds of construction background with that. And Brad has earned his retirement from the board, and we'll be looking to see him, though, fairly frequently, and maybe as a guest on the show in the near future. Who knows? So thank you, Brad, for your service, and I will miss you on the board. John, I hope you got big shoes to fill, but I have every confidence that you will be an active member of the select board. So good luck going forward. Zoning articles, there was all the zoning articles passed except for the petition to allow drive-throughs. That was once again solidly defeated. 1,200 to 437. So no drive-throughs coming anytime soon in Wolfeboro, other than Dunkin' Donuts. So moving on to regular selectmen, town government budget items. The operating budget was defeated, 942 to 656. Meanwhile, and we had the chief on 2 weeks ago. Fire Chief Tom Zotti was on, and the ambulance service non-binding referendum passed, and the fire-based ambulance service also passed. The fire-based ambulance service passed with a vote of 1,005 to 598. So voters pretty soundly, 2-1 there, chose to support the ambulance service here in Wolfeboro and having the town, the fire department do it. So hats off to the chief, and they had a lot of work to do to get that thing up and running. And luckily we still have stewards on board for the near future, so that transition should go fairly smoothly. Town road upgrades were approved by the same margin as the fire-based ambulance service. And you saw a whole slew of water and sewer. All those were passed. Construction on Melody and Kenniston Island, that's a reconstruction of the existing electrical service out there, so new poles and new pole structures. Those were passed, as well as the Armory, which is on Middleton Road. The ceiling in the Armory, which is where the municipal electric stores all their equipment, their vehicles, where the guys work out of. The roof in there, the ceiling in there has been in a state of disrepair for a couple of years now. That passed. Library solar project, which was unusual that it was this close. It was 887 to 755. There was some grants and some funding associated with that, so that was a pretty close vote. Voters once again, for the second year in a row, overwhelmingly chose no to any renovations, basically, at the Libby Museum. The Libby Restoration Project for Article 17 was killed, 906 to 696. And I think this sends a message that, there's definitely a message being sent here by the voters, that the Libby there's something else. There needs a new game plan, and seriously need to look at maybe the town of Wolfeboro and the Board of Selectmen being the trustees, maybe not being that anymore. I think it's something that we need to take a big breath on. I know there's people out there that really wanted to rehabilitate and bring back the Libby, but 2 solid votes, 2 years in a row. Clearly, the voters' taste for that is 0. So 906 to 696, vote failed. Contract for the police union and contract for town employees passed. Town employees contract passed 967 to 624, and the police union contract passed 1039 to 559. What did fail is the Article 20, which was the police replacement vehicles, and it was 2. That failed 883 to 719. I think at a time where there's been a lot of hubbub about less officers and I think people are just saying on this topic and on the when it comes to the vehicles for public works, I think people are saying you got to make do with what you have for a little bit longer. We got to push back that timeline sheet that has each vehicle on it with a certain time, and you got to get a little bit more out of these vehicles. So voters said no more police vehicles right now, no more public works vehicles right now. The economy's tough. It's a tough time in the economy. Prices are high. People are struggling paying their taxes. Property taxes are high. So I think the voters are necessarily pushing back on things that they see. Maybe you got to push forward and get a couple more years out of your cruisers, get a couple more years out of your public works vehicles. So then we got sewer pump stations. Those all passed. Water tower, South Main Street press relief water tower, water treatment plant upgrades, 1286 to 332. That public vehicle equipment replacement capital reserve fund funding did fail, 886 to 727. Abenaki ski area capital reserve fund passed. Tree removal passed here. That's a trust fund they're setting up. Public safety building final upfitting cost passed, 1,067 to 521. Increase in income limits for the elderly, tax exemption, 1361 to 1237 to 237. Passed. And then you had the roundabouts, and we did an extensive show on the roundabouts, and then we had another. We've been talking about roundabouts, I feel like, for a year now. But the question was worded. There were 2 choices on the question. Is your first choice to at the intersection of Pickering Corner and Center Street? Is your first choice to construct in its current configuration with better lanes and markings? And voters said 1,103 yes to 466 no. And then choice 2 is your first choice to have a compact roundabout. And basically the exact flip happened. So you had 354 yes and 1151 no. They then went on Article 34 to cover McManus Road up by the high school and the roundabout there. So both of those the voters soundly said, no roundabout. We don't want a roundabout. We don't want to talk about roundabouts anymore. So paint the lines a little bit better and let traffic be what it is. And remember, DOT told us that roundabout or no roundabout, it was not going to take care of the summer traffic congestion. So I think the voters made a wise choice when it came to that vote. We had a petition warrant article to rescind and abolish the police commission. This actually came up last year as well. I think it was about 300 votes last year that separated from rescind to not rescind. So the police commission was not rescinded. It did. There will be a police commission still here in Wolfeboro. It was 854 against rescinding it and 729. So a little bit tighter of a margin for those that wanted to abolish the police commission. But once again, the police commission stands in its entirety. And so that was one of the petition warrant articles. There was a second petition warrant article that would have had the town take over plowing on 2 roads, Frank Goodwin Road and Dudley Road here in Wolfeboro. And the argument is that there is the bridge, not the Bridge Falls path, but the Sewell Woods trails are one of the access points to those trails are through Dudley and Frank Goodwin, and therefore fire apparatus or EMS might need to go out there at some point to rescue somebody if it came to a situation where someone got lost in the woods. Members of the private association thought that maybe the town of Wolfeboro would be so gracious to take over the plowing of the road, but voters decided that, and it's one of the bigger margins here, 1,119 no to 496 yes. So the town of Wolfeboro will not be plowing or taking care of Frank Goodwin or Dudley Road here in Wolfeboro anytime soon. The remaining warrant article number 37, and I mean 37 warrant articles. You got to basically bring a book with you when you go. You got to have your cheat sheet, because if you go in there without a cheat sheet, you're likely to be in there for like 3 hours reading these things. And you got the zoning articles, okay? And having sat on the zoning board for 6 years, like, I don't even know how people make heads or tails of those. The wording in them is so convoluted. It's you got to almost read it like 4 times to make sure you're going to vote the right way or what you intend to vote. It's craziness, absolute craziness. But Article 37, warrant article reaffirming our New Hampshire constitutional rights, clearly that one passed. So a lot of things going on here and around Wolfeboro. In hindsight, like, I think the voters sent a clear message on the budget. They want some pullback, and I think they want town government to dig a little bit deeper and to look at maybe different areas where they can be more, there could be more savings, or we could be more thrifty with how we handle the taxpayers' money. Because taxes keep going up, and it's people are concerned. It was at the deliberative session, Claude Rossinger got up, and he was talking about managers and those managing. And it was an interesting point, he said, when people are asking for more managers, okay, oftentimes you need to look at the manager of who wants managers underneath him or her. It's an important topic. Why do we keep adding managers to different part of this government? And where can we cut costs? I know where we can't cut costs, and that's Wolfeboro Community TV. Wolfeboro Community TV is dedicated to providing you with this type of information and all the town meetings. It's vital for the town, for people in town who depend on it, because they can't get out to all the meetings. Some people, don't get out as well. They can't travel as well. They can't go to the meetings. They work all day long. They're working stiffs like me, so they can't be at all these meetings. So Wolfeboro Community TV provides that valuable resource to people that can go on TV at night and watch, the last zoning meeting. And by the way, the last zoning meeting, really good meeting. Only one case. Case got very well presented by the presenter. It was a non-conforming structure on the lake where they were going to move it back, but there was still a little bit of an impact where the structure was still in the zone where it was non-conforming. The deck of it was great dialogue. The board got it done in two meetings, and gave me hope that maybe we can get more people through the process when it comes to zoning and planning. And while we have the topic of planning on the table, we literally have nobody in the town of Wolfeboro in the planning department right now. The town planner's gone, the secretary for the planning department's gone, and the town inspector, building inspector, left 2 weeks ago. So literally there's nobody on that side of the department. There's a sign when you go in there that due to staffing shortages, there may or may not be somebody at the desk. So real issues going on here in Wolfeboro. Lots of them. So stay informed. We'll cover that planning issue again in the near future. Just to recap what's going on in Wolfeboro in the next couple weeks here for events, feel free. WolfeboroChamber.com. Lots of events on the website. Always a great resource. We're kind of in that weird period right now. March is always a very slow time with the weather, and the days are longer now. The sun's up more, so it's a couple of really nice days, but March is still in between time, so not a lot of events here on the calendar. But we got a business exit strategy seminar on March 20th, and that is at the Wolfeboro. Where is that? Wolfeboro Public Library, Bradley Room, and that's Thursday, March 20th, from 11 a.m. to 12:30 p.m. This workshop is designed to help business owners proactively plan how they eventually leave their company. That's interesting. We have Sip and Savor, a 3-part cooking series, Class 3, which is Thursday, March 20th, 2025. That's presented by the Wolfeboro Inn. Location is Front Four Cellars, 13 Railroad Ave in Wolfeboro. Red wine poached pear, chicken piccata, cranberry stuffed brie and puff pastry. That looks like a pretty cool event. Appetizer, single ticket $30, entree $40, dessert $25, 4-course dinner with all the pairings with wine $90. So that's an interesting one. We have the Upcycled Fashion Show, which is the end of the month, Sunday, March 30th, 2025. It's presented by Maker's Mill. Locations Kingswood Arts Center right here at the Kingswood Complex, 396 South Main Street here in Wolfeboro. Get your tickets, Upcycled Fashion Show 2025. A lot of interesting costumes there, so that could be a fun little event. That's at 2:30 at the Kingswood Arts Center. Space is limited, register early. So that's all I have for you. Got the election results. We got some pithy conversation about the planning department and town managers and more managers and maybe even more managers on top of that. But stay tuned and support Wolfeboro Community TV. Get out there and be good to each other. See you next week.